A mentor of mine once asked me a question over dinner that honestly, I still can't shake. I was griping. I was bitching a little bit, too busy, too stretched, drowning in things that only I could do. And he just stopped me very patiently, very kindly, and frankly, I might say a little smugly. And he said, Dusty, do you care about your people? And of course I do. My answer was like, seriously, I do. This is my mission in life. And he said, okay, then why are you stealing opportunities from them to be valuable? I didn't like him very much in that moment because here's what I realized. And it's what I watched a group of senior leaders realize yesterday in one of our leadership accelerator cohorts. Every time I refused to ask for help, I wasn't being strong. I was robbing my team of the very thing that would make them grow. If you're the leader that carries it all, the one that people count on, the one who can't quite bring themselves to say, I need help, then this one's for you. Let's get into it. This is Leadership Unlocked. Leaders are tired, not the kind of tired that a weekend fixes, the kind that sits on your chest on a Sunday night. The calendar is stacked. Your phone doesn't stop. And the story that you tell yourself is, if I don't do it, it won't get done right. Here's what I've learned after a couple decades of this work and what I watched play out in real time yesterday with three very different leaders. A VP of legal at a Fortune 500, an owner operator running a very successful growing business, and a director of marketing who is emerging into senior leadership in an organization that's scaling really fast. Radically different industries, different life stages, the same hidden tax. They were each paying it in a different currency, but it was the same bill. Three stories kept them stuck alone. The hero myth, if I step in, it gets fixed. Imposter syndrome, one day they'll figure out that I don't belong here. And the help-asking taboo, asking for help is weakness. These three stories don't show up in your quarterly review, but they're the reason you're the bottleneck. They're the reason your team isn't developing. They're the reason you went on vacation and checked Slack from the beach. And they compound. Every day you pay this tax, you pay a little bit more in interest the next time. Here's what I want you to hear right now out of the gate. These stories don't mean you're broken. They mean you're a high achiever who got rewarded for carrying things. The problem is that the behavior that got you here isn't the behavior that gets you there. Let me tell you about a moment when a mentor of mine flipped one of these stories on its head for me. And then I'll walk you through all three, because once you can name them, you can put them down. This is back when I was running a division of a very large and successful company, had several hundred people on the team. It was a very good business. We were growing. And it was, if I'm being really honest, I was exhausted and I was resentful about it. I was doing the work of three people because I couldn't get myself to ask anyone to carry part of it. I had the team. I had the talent around me. I just wouldn't let them in. And this is what led to that conversation. And we were at dinner and I was venting to him and I was unpacking in my way what I thought was going to be really beneficial. It's like, here's all the problems. Help me sort them out. Give me the insights that I need, the magic wand, the silver bullet that lets me go shoulder the load and get this done. I was overwhelmed. And, I was explaining all the reasons that I couldn't hand things off. And they were excuses. Like, just to be clear, they were excuses. And when I finally took a breath, he just looked at me and he said, Dusty, do you care about your people? Of course I do. And then he asked me the question, how do you feel when someone asks you for help? I told him the truth. I love it. I feel needed. I feel useful. It's one of the best parts of the job. And he let that sit for a second. And he said, then why are you stealing that from them? And I got to be honest, that hit me in a way that I wasn't ready for, because my entire career, I'd framed asking for help as taking someone's time, taking it off my plate, taking from them. He reframed it as giving someone else the chance to contribute, to be seen, to grow, to matter. And underneath it, he exposed the lie I'd been telling myself, that carrying it alone made me a good leader. It didn't. It made me a bottleneck wearing a cape. I'd love to tell you that I walked out of the dinner a different leader. I didn't. I still catch myself doing it today. Last week, I tried to muscle through something that I had three capable people around me to help with. The pattern is old and the muscle memory is strong, but I see it now. And that's the difference. I can name what's happening in real time in the moment. Sometimes I still choose the old way, but I know that I'm choosing it and I know what it cost. And so I can start paying the debt very, very differently. Here's the framework that I've built out of that conversation. It's been sharpened by a lot of hard lessons since then and by some research that frankly really surprised me. 3 stories, 3 reframes. Every single leader that I work with is carrying at least one of these 3 stories. Most carry 2, and the ones carrying all 3, those are the ones that are closest to burnout. And let's name them. I call story number 1 the hero myth, and this is the lie. If I step in and save it, I'm being a great leader. The reality is a lot of heroes die on the battlefield, not literally, but their careers, their health, their relationships. The hero myth tells you that stepping in is leadership. It's not. It's limiting. Every time you swoop in, you teach your team 2 things. They can't handle it, and you don't trust them to try. You're not saving the day. You are setting a ceiling. You're capping the capability of the people and the organization that you're in. Gallup ran a 20-year study across 2.5 million work units and found that managers account for 70% of the variance in their team's engagement scores. 70% of the variance, meaning the single biggest lever on whether your team is engaged or checked out, isn't the comp plan. It isn't the perks. It isn't the mission statement on the wall. It's you. And separately, Gallup found that 1 in 2 employees has quit a job specifically to get away from a manager. Micromanagement, which is the hero myth in daily practice, sits in the top 3 reasons that people leave. Now, we've all heard that. People don't quit a company, they quit a bad boss. Don't be a bad boss. Your job isn't to be the hero. Your job is to create heroes, to build them. Story number 2 is the imposter syndrome. And the lie here is that one day somebody's going to figure out that I don't actually know what I'm doing. And this one showed up 3 times in one cohort session yesterday. One of the leaders even said it out loud, that one day somebody's going to figure out that I have no idea what I'm doing. And of course, nothing could be further from the truth. And what I told him is what I'll tell you. That's what it feels like to be doing the work at your level. Korn Ferry surveyed 10,000 professionals, including about 400 CEOs for their 2024 Global Insights Report. 71% of U.S. CEOs reported experiencing imposter syndrome, more than any other level of the workforce. Entry level, 33%. The C-suite, 71%. The research is unambiguous. Imposter syndrome intensifies with seniority. It doesn't go away when you earn the title. It only gets louder. And here's the counterintuitive part, the part that made me stop when I read it. Dr. Basma Tufik at MIT Sloan published peer-reviewed research last fall showing that people with frequent imposter thoughts actually outperform their peers under high pressure by about 13% more effort. And in a companion study, leaders with imposter thoughts were rated by colleagues as more interpersonally effective because the self-doubt redirected their attention towards relationships instead of ego. The thing you're hiding might be the very thing that's making you better. Here's the reframe. Stop spending all the energy trying to make sure you have the right answer. Focus on having a good answer to the problem that's right there in front of you. Story number 3. The Help-Asking Taboo. This is the one my mentor called me out on, and it's the one that costs your team the most. Because when you don't ask for help, you're not just carrying more, you're denying someone else the chance to be valuable. You're hoarding the very opportunities that would let your people grow. Here's the research that should settle this once and for all. 3 Harvard Business School professors, Brooks, Gino, and Schweitzer, published a peer-reviewed study in management science showing that people who ask for advice are perceived as more competent than those who don't. Not less, more. especially on difficult, high stakes decisions, which is exactly the terrain that you're operating in. And it lines up with Gould's Project Aristotle, a 3-year, $2 million study of 180 of their teams. They were looking for what made the best teams tick. Turned out it wasn't raw talent. It wasn't IQ. The single biggest factor was psychological safety. And leaders build psychological safety primarily by one behavior: admitting they don't have all the answers and asking for help. So let me say it very plainly. When you ask for help, you don't look weaker to your team. You look stronger. You're not losing authority. You're building trust. Here's the truth that most leaders won't admit. You're not stuck because you don't know what to do. You're stuck because you haven't codified how you lead. Our Vision to Victory Leadership Accelerator is where we fix that. It's a 12-week experience where we install the leadership operating system, the frameworks, the cadence, the metrics that turn your instincts into a repeatable system your team can follow. You'll walk out with clarity on your vision, a strategy that aligns your team, and an execution rhythm that compounds over time. This is not a course. It's a small group of leaders building together. If you're ready to lead with clarity instead of chaos, go to v2vleadership.com to learn more. Look at these three together. The hero myth says, I have to carry it. Imposter syndrome says, I can't trust myself to let go. The help-asking taboo says, I can't ask anyone to help me carry it either. It's a perfect prison. You built the walls, you hold the key, and nobody can rescue you but you. But here's one more piece, and this is the part that should make you pause. Harvard Business Review surveyed CEOs and found that half of them, report significant loneliness in the role. More than 60% say it's actively hurting their performance. For first-time CEOs, that number climbs to nearly 70%. This isn't a soft problem. The loneliness that you feel at the top isn't a personality defect. It's a predictable consequence of the three stories I just named, and it has real operational cost: decision quality, filtered information, and burnout. So how do you actually put them down? Here's the exercise. It's a 20-minute audit. Open a blank document, set a 20-minute timer, and do this before your first meeting on Monday morning. Step 1, name what you're carrying. Give yourself 7 minutes for this section. List every significant thing on your plate right now that someone else on your team could carry. Not should, could. Don't filter, just list. Most leaders I do this with land somewhere between 8 and 15 things. Step 2, diagnose the story. This section takes 8 minutes. Next to each of them, write a letter. H, if you're keeping it because you don't trust anyone else to save the day. It's the hero myth. I, if you're keeping it because letting it go means someone might see that you don't have all the answers. It's an imposter syndrome issue. A, if you're keeping it because asking for help feels like weakness. This is the help-asking taboo. Some items will have 2 letters. That's totally fine. Maybe they'll have all 3. You're not diagnosing the task. You're diagnosing yourself. Step 3, give one away. This takes the last 5 minutes. Pick one. Not the easiest one, not the hardest one either. Just one. Send the handoff message before you close the laptop. Not, can you take this when you have time? An actual handoff with context, expectations, and a check-in date. And if you really want to do this right, tell them why you're asking. I've been holding on to this because I'm working on a pattern of trying to carry too much myself. I think this is a chance for you to stretch. That transparency is a gift in both directions. Remember the Harvard research. Asking for help makes you look more competent, not less. The research has your back. Do this on a Monday and do it again on Friday. 2 audits, 2 handoffs. By the end of the month, you'll have given 8 things away. And what I can almost promise you is that your team will have stepped up in ways that will surprise you. And you will have bought back hours that you didn't know you'd had. The 3 stories that keep senior leaders stuck alone: the hero myth, imposter syndrome, and the help-asking taboo, they don't make you weak. They make you human. But naming them is how you put them down. And every time you ask for help, remember this: you're not taking something from your team. You're giving them the chance to be valuable. If this one landed, I'd love to know which of these 3 stories hits you the hardest. Send me a note on LinkedIn, or heck, reach out to me directly via email, dusty@arcusgroup.com. I'd love to know the value that this creates for you. That's our goal, to create radical, transformative value for our audience. And if you want to keep going, we covered a different layer of this back in episode 52, why leaders feel busy but not effective. That one's about building clarity. This one's about giving yourself permission to not carry it all alone. Hey, before you go, if this episode helped you see leadership differently, I have 3 personal requests. First, and this is the most important one, share this with one leader who needs it. Think of someone in your network who's frustrated with their team's execution or is trying to scale their own impact. Copy this episode link right now and text them, hey, I just listened to this episode and I think you'll get real value from it. That simple act of sharing, that is servant leadership in action. Second, subscribe to Leadership Unlocked. Whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or your favorite podcast player, just hit subscribe or the follow button. That way you won't miss the next episode, and it helps us reach more leaders like you. And third, if you're willing, this would be a huge help for us. Leave a 5-star rating and write a quick review. I know it takes 60 seconds of your time, but here's what it does. It helps other leaders discover the show. Every rating, every review, it's how we expand our impact together. So those 3 things: share with a friend, subscribe, leave a review. I'm deeply appreciative, and that would give us so much help. Thanks for being part of the Leadership Unlocked community. Now go create some clarity for others.